is Stephanie. I'm a violinist as well as a violin teacher, and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about how to tune your violin, and what you'll learn in this video is not only how to tune your violin if you know nothing about violin, but by the end you should feel confident that you know how to tune your own instrument and what way will work best for you. Also, you'll learn just some general music things that relate to tuning, like what strings are, what a pitch is, what a perfect fifth is, and just some other tips and tricks. So to start out, I just wanted to tell you why your violin can go out of tune. It can go out of tune for a lot of different reasons, one being weather changes. Any extreme heat or extreme cold, or just switching from hot to cold, can make the strings go out of tune. Also, putting new strings on, that can get a violin out of tune because the strings just don't hold for a while, so you got to tune them a lot when you first put new strings on. And then also when the strings are too old, if they haven't been changed in a really long time, they have a hard time staying in tune at all, so it might be time to replace them. And the other reason is just if it gets bumped or whacked or handled poorly, it might whack those strings out of tune as well. In talking about your strings, each string is a different note, and another word for note is pitch. In order to be able to tune your strings in tune, you need to know what notes your strings are. So, starting with this bottom one here, this is your E string, A string, D string, and G string. I'll play those for you. E, A, D, and G. You'll notice with your strings that they are in what's called fifths. That means they're 5 notes apart from each other, and that is called a perfect fifth when they're right in tune. I want you to hear what a perfect fifth sounds like. I'm also going to play you a perfect fifth on the piano just so you can hear the difference. You should still hear that they match really well on both instruments, and it has that ring to it when they match. So here's the difference. You'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 5 notes apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the A string to E string, before you get started tuning your violin, you will want to have something that can give you the pitch of an A, because you always start tuning the A string first, which is this string, the second string if you're going from the bottom up. So you'll need to have something that you can hear what the A sounds like to make sure you're matching pitch. There's lots of different tools that you can use to get an A to tune your violin. You can use a piano, a keyboard, any instrument that's already in tune. You can also use a tuning pipe, you can use a tuning fork, you can use a keyboard, you can use a metronome, you can use an app. So the choices are many, so just whatever is easiest for you. I like something that has a drone, typically, that you can play like the metronome, where it'll just hold the A till you turn it off. But your choice. But just know there's lots of options to use. The 2 ways your violin can be out of tune is it's either sharp, which means it's too high and you need to tune it down, or it's flat and that means it's too low, so you need to tune it higher. So there's two ways to tune a violin. The first is with your pegs, which are these guys. And then the other option is with a fine tuner. I only have one, and most professionals only have one because they're really comfortable tuning the violin with the pegs, but you'll notice on beginning violins or smaller violins they have 4. And fine tuners are really nice to have when you first start tuning a violin just because they are really easy to tune with. The pegs take more practice to get comfortable with, so fine tuners are great when you're starting out. Now let's talk about tuning with your pegs. So there, you can either hold the violin up like this, or you can lean it against you and put your bow down and tune it like this. Sometimes when I do tune it like this, I tune it like this more because the pegs are so hard that I can't move them, when I'm holding it up like this. And so I probably would need to put some peg dope or chalk on it to get them to stay or to loosen up. But I'm going to tune it like this today. Just know you can tune like this as well. And some of you beginners might want to tune it like this just because you have more control. It's easier to tune. So when you tune with your pegs, the trick is to turn it, but also push in. And what I mean by push in is you're going to tune the peg, push it in this way while you're turning it this way. At least for the D and G string. For the A and E string, you're going to want to push it in this way and then tune up or down. That way the peg won't slip and it'll stay in place. So it does take a lot of practice to get used to that feeling of pushing in and turning at the same time. And you can find different hand positions that you like to tune in. I like this 2 and 2. I use my index finger here on the peg and my thumb so I can twist it that way. And then I use these 2 fingers to apply pressure so I can push it in easier. So with my A and E, the A string is harder sometimes, so sometimes I'll just go like this, but then I don't get that pressure. So I use my index finger as the pressure and then tune with these on that string. So you kind of have to find, and same with on my E string, it's easier for me to tune like this rather than with the 2 and 2 because my pinky and my thumb aren't as coordinated as my other ones. So this is actually in tune right now, but I'll make it out of tune here. What I need to do now is tune it up because it's flat, and I'm going to twist the peg again towards the scroll, this thing. So I need to turn the peg that way. And while you're turning your peg, you also need to, I apply some pressure with this finger. As you noticed, I was going down, tuning. It's easier to lower the string and tune up rather than higher and tune up. And what I mean by that is this is tuning by going down and then back up rather than tuning up to down. It's not incorrect if you tune up and then down, but I just find that it's easier to tune going lower and then higher to get your right note. When you're tuning with the pegs, you do want to be careful that you don't turn them, you don't turn them too quickly or too much at once. You just want to do a little at a time and do it really slow, because if you do it too fast, or you do too quick of a motion, you could break a string. You should be fine if you're making sure you are turning them slow and just a little at a time. You want to be able to feel the tension. If they're too tight, maybe give it a second, release the tension on it. and try again. The strings will stretch if they have been tuned more often, so just take things slow and don't turn it too fast and you should be okay. If you come across this problem while tuning with your pegs, that they don't seem to move and they're just really hard to turn, you need what's called peg dope, and that's this stuff. Let me show you up close. So I happen to have an extra peg to show you. So in order to put this peg dope on, you're going to need to take the strings off your violin, and I can do a video on how to take those off safely and put them back on correctly, but leave me a comment below if you want me to do that video later. But for right now, let's get back to the peg dope. The peg dope, what you're going to do is add this stuff to the ends of it here, and then you're going to restring your violin and it should slide much better. If you have the opposite problem while tuning with your pegs, that you can't get them to stay, and no matter what you do, how hard you push them in, they keep sliding out, then what you need is just regular white chalk. What you do with the white chalk, and it's just, you know, the little classroom chalk. Anyway, that's the kind you use, and you do the same thing. You just wipe the chalk on the ends of this peg, and then it should stick and hold better. And you'll also need to take the strings off for that as well and put them back on. So it's a bit of a hassle to do that, but it will help them stick. If they keep sliding, that's what I recommend doing. Alright, so how to tune with a fine tuner. Right here, this little guy. How to tune with a fine tuner, the first thing you need to know is that you don't want to use a fine tuner and tune with these if the violin strings are way out of tune, if they're not even close to the pitch or note you're looking for. These work best when it's just smaller adjustments and you don't have to turn it a million times to get to the right note if you're way out of tune. These work great it's just if the string is close to being in tune but it's not quite in tune. That's when fine tuners are the best to use. There's not much to tuning with the fine tuner. You're just going to turn it one direction or the other direction to lower or raise the pitch. So if your string is flat and you need to go higher, you want to twist towards the scroll, which is this right here. This is the scroll. So you twist that way if you need it to go higher. If your string is too high and you need it to be lowered, then you're going to twist towards your chin. And one trick I like to do is pluck and tune at the same time, and I can hear how it's changing. So let me show you an example. That's easier for me to do rather than holding my bow up and tuning it like this. That way, you can do that way if it's comfortable to you. I don't use a shoulder rest, and so it's just easier for me to pluck while I do it. You can choose maybe like holding it this way. Also, you do have the option of holding it towards you like this and tuning. You hold on to the neck this way. I just put it against my stomach here, and then I just pluck and tune and adjust as I go. Here is a quick tip on if your violin is just slightly out of tune. Either it's slightly sharp or slightly flat. These are two tricks you can do to adjust. So the first is, if it's a little sharp, whichever string, you just tap on the string here, add a little pressure, and it raises it just ever so slightly. And if the string is slightly flat, I like to put my thumb there, and you just tug the string a little bit like this, and it lowers it just enough. You can do it a few times if you don't hear a change, but that trick should help lower it if it's slightly sharp, and this tapping one should help if it's slightly too flat and you need it to be higher or sharp. If you're brand new to tuning your violin, it might be easier just to start out to tune each string individually first. Normally on a more professional tuning level, when you're really comfortable playing the violin, all you need is a A and to tune your A. And then you can tune all your other strings after you've got your A string in tune. But if you're a beginner, it's sometimes easier just to tune each string by itself. For those of you who are beginners in tuning each string individually, here are the notes for you that you can tune to. Here's your E. Here's your A. Here's your D. And here's your G. I'm going to go ahead and tune my E string for you on the piano. So to start out, let's play our E string, or our E note or pitch. So get an idea of that in your head, kind of hum it in your head. If you want, you can hum it out loud so you can remember it out loud while you're playing it. It's very helpful. So that's quite flat, so I'm going to go ahead and tune with my pegs here. So my peg just wants to go too high or too low, so now I'm going to just adjust it down with my fine tuner. Again, it's still too flat, so since it's too flat, we need to go higher. So I'm going to turn my fine tuner that way towards my scroll. So now, as you can tell, I have it too high, so I'm going to adjust it down more because it needs to go lower, and I'm going to twist my fine tuner towards my chin. So now that I've got that in tune, and you can tell tuning is definitely just trial and error. You just have to keep twisting things until you find the right sound. I'm going to tune my A right now with the tuning fork. So it's a little high, so I'm just going to kind of tug a little bit. Let's see if that matches here. I'll go closer so you can hear. So maybe just a little higher. There we got the A in tune. So now I can match the other strings to it, listening for the perfect fifth. Enjoyed this tutorial. I will leave a link below that gives you a free practice guide on just what this went over, the tools for tuning, also the tips and tricks, and then a practice guide of what to practice in order to become more comfortable and confident in your tuning, because everything takes practice if you want to feel confident in it. So I left you that free guide to practice your tuning. I hope you enjoyed it again, and I hope you'll leave me a comment if you want me to do another tutorial. I will see you next time, and again, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.